Okay, good afternoon. This is Tales from the Cassette. We are doing a emergency podcast because we did not have this one scheduled, but we wanted to get together quickly today and talk about the life and career of Ace Frehley. So I'm Jeff
Yep.
Beach,
I'm Joey Graves.
and you probably heard the news. I believe that was Thursday, right?
Thursday afternoon.
Thursday late afternoon. Ace Frehley had passed away. I think if you were following the news, I think there was a hint that something happened in his studio recently and he fell. I don't know that you really could tell how bad it was up until that day.
Well, who knows what's true on the internet, but I'd read something that there was a fall
Mm-hmm.
and it was manageable, but there was a second fall was what really caused the issues that led to his death.
Yeah. So, he canceled, I think in one of our previous podcasts, we were talking about his tour, and he was touring, and a lot of great feedback on that tour, just as not so much as a month ago. But he recently canceled the tour right after that incident happened. Wasn't a lot of said beyond that, but then, so Thursday, late afternoon, Ace Frehley passed away. Age, was it
74?
74. Yeah, passed away, age of 74. So we thought we'd get together quickly today and just talk about him and his influence. And as you know, on this podcast, we talk about Kiss quite frequently. They are our most common topic, and I think a lot of our musical influence goes back to, you can't talk about Kiss without Ace Frehley. And even though he hasn't really been in the band as long as some of the other members, he's always got the influence there. He's always there in the background of that. And so I thought we'd talk about him today, his, maybe a couple of his favorite songs, or our favorite songs of his in Kiss, and his solo albums, and anything else we want to touch on.
Well, I just wanted to say that, a mutual friend of ours kind of introduced me to Kiss back in 1978.
Yep.
And I was instantly drawn to Ace Frehley. And really, Ace is what really sucked me into Kiss. And, so that, and really my love of music. So it really kind of goes back to Ace back in 1978 for me.
Yep. It's interesting if you look back at his career in Kiss. He was writing for them since the early days, so he's got a couple credits on the first album, Kiss, but he actually doesn't write and sing a song until Love Gun.
And he actually recorded Shock Me laying down in the studio.
So he did not like, or he didn't feel confident singing, and so while he was writing with the band, so if you're not familiar with the timing of that, so their first album came out in 1974, so he was writing there and didn't perform, sing a song until Love Gun, which was in 1977, which is really interesting when you think about in 1978, a year later, they did their solo albums. And his solo album is probably, I'll say, most people would agree that is the best solo album. And he sings every song on that album.
Yeah, very close. Well, one of them was instrumental.
That's true. Yeah.
I was very close, Paul and Ace, for the solos for me.
Yeah, I can remember when I didn't listen to that one back in the 70s, but when I was listening to that one, that was by far my favorite. And re-listened to it this week. There's so many classics on that. First of all, New York Groove, which I think most people would know. And then, if you've not listened to this, Rip It Out and Speeding Back to My Baby are great pop rock type songs, and then he's got some really good hard rock songs on this. Snowblind, and that's probably the one I'm thinking of. But fun album that he sang all the songs and performed. So and really, then you realize, wow, he's not only he's a great guitar player, he's extremely talented.
Yeah, it was for me. It was I've always been for the underdog, for the ones that have been looked over and maybe don't have the spotlight. So when Ace kind of outperformed everybody else with the top 20 single of New York Groove, and that even drew me closer to Ace because he was the underdog, and because the spotlight was pretty much on Gene and Paul at the time, and Ace kind of took it from him for a while.
Yeah, so after that happened, his album was the biggest seller of the solo albums. On the next two Kiss releases, he had 3 songs each, after having, really nothing besides songwriting credits, and then having Shock Me on Love Gun, but 3 on Dynasty, 3 on Unmasked. I don't know the number on Elder off the top of my head, at least a couple.
Dark Light. But I also they did No Escape from the Island as well, I believe. But I think it was all 4 of them
that did that one. Okay. He's credited on the album of Creatures of the Night, though doesn't play on that. And of course, that was the end of his career until he rejoined. So yeah, someone asked me the other day, like, well, because they weren't big Kiss fans, and so they were like, so when would he leave? I'm like, what's a long story? He left in around 1982, maybe a little before that. Left the band officially, and then rejoined, and he did the Unplugged album, which was really cool as a Kiss fan to see them get back together. And then he was part of the band for the reunion tour that I think started in like 96. Sounds right.
96, yeah.
96. And then for the album that he did with them, Psycho Circus, in 98.
Which he didn't really perform much on.
Right. There was, so there was a lot of cracks in the surface that nobody knew at the time that already did that. But in the meantime as well, he had a pretty prolific solo career. So we saw him in high school in Louisville
after the first album.
And that would have been as Frehley's Comet, right?
Freddie's Comet. Yep.
Yeah. So I listened to a little bit of that this week as well. That was a fun album.
I did too. I had a 3.5-hour drive after I left my conference, and I listened to Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
Pretty much the top played songs for probably about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, he put together a band, and it was a mixture of him singing and not singing, and so he had it was a very good album. If you've seen the mention of Rock Soldier this week, that's a main track on that album and kind of what people have been using. But he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 solo albums.
And he was working on the next one when he fell in the studio.
Right. So there was one that actually just came out in 2024, so just a year ago. 10,000 volts, 10,000 volts, and the single off that album is very good, actually. He's got a couple of live albums, and then and he's got some covers, and I think Paul Stanley and Peter Criss and Gene Simmons participated in some of his solo projects with him. I wouldn't say they had a great working relationship at all. And he did not appear at the final shows for Kiss. But it was going to be interesting because they and the band is due to be together for the Kennedy Rock Honors that takes place next month.
Yeah. I hate that the original 4 are not going to be there.
I know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that and what they say. And, there were some nice messages that came out from the other band members. this past week as the news broke out. So, but yeah, they were all due. They weren't going to perform, but they were all due to be there and be honored into Kennedy, the Kennedy Center, which is a huge honor because it's not a lot of bands that make that.
You know, I know the original 4 are going to be inducted or receive that honor, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, they should have approached it the same way they did Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they probably wouldn't invite Vinny, but have all the live past members come and then bring out Ace and Peter and close the night up. Do it unplugged. That way you wouldn't have to worry about makeup and having Ace's makeup on somebody else, you know, all that jazz. But it would have been nice to seen the 4 one more time. One last time.
One last time. I know.
I was really hoping that it would have been that, but I guess it wasn't going to be. But
yeah.
I saw a video yesterday that I think encapsulates Ace. So Ace appeared at some event with Gene, and Gene was taking questions, and Gene actually said that he didn't have any friends. Like he didn't have any people that he could, whatever friends he was friendly with. You know, he was just kind of a loner. Was family. And the next day, Ace called Gene and said, "You do have a friend. I am your friend." So that to me just kind of speaks volumes of the person that maybe we didn't know behind the scenes, the kind of person he was. So I think that was kind of a beautiful way to remember Ace, is that, you know, he called somebody that maybe he found was lonely and reached out to him. So.
Yeah. And, you know, you never really know the relationships for them. I always kind of picture it, you know, the press and the media will always pick up when they take shots at each other. And, you know, because there's an interview and, you know, you say one thing and they're going to pick that up. My guess, I always kind of pictured it probably was just more like family that was, you know, they were always arguing about something, but in the end, they all really cared. And I think that's why they were going to appear at Kennedy Center together coming up. And so, you know, they always didn't work out their business relationships, but yeah, I think that was, you know, but they did, as I mentioned, they did perform on some of each other's solo stuff, and they would show up for things. And you know, I think Ace Frehley had shown up for, I don't know if it was the cruise or something in Vegas in the past, and played with Kulick, and, you know, so they always kind of figured it out along the way.
Well, Ace actually even played with Vinny and Kulick in Nashville.
Yeah. You know, it was interesting just reading all the stuff and about him with everybody making comments, and, you know, that he was never really the best guitarist. You know, he kind of had the way it's described as a sloppy guitar player, but he had his way, and he always kind of did that. Even you know, I think he was very shy in his early days in Kiss. You didn't see it, but in his later days, he was much more outgoing and with interviews, and you could see, you know, he tried not to take himself too seriously along the way. I saw a funny clip the other day I had not seen before, but I guess it was during the reunion tour. And, you know, we've talked about how Kiss shows are very structured. You know what you're going to get. You know, they may vary a song or two, but there's not a lot of extra stuff going on. You know, it's a scripted show.
Right.
And very scripted. And so this was, somebody had taken a fan video from the audience of the show, and they were playing, and all of a sudden, I guess Ace decided, I'm going to play what I want to play. And
I've seen that. I've seen it.
And so he just starts playing some of his stuff from his first solo album, and then other songs of his from the Kiss catalog. And you can kind of see Gene, and it's fun. I mean, you know, Peter Criss is, I think, on the drums at this time. And so he's just, whatever Ace starts playing, he starts playing drums too.
I
And
think it was Eric Singer.
was it Eric at this time?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Gene goes like this and points up. What does the Ace Frehley band want to play
Yes.
now?
Same video I saw.
And
Yeah,
then
because
Eric is laughing.
yeah, it looked like Paul was kind of like, yeah, we're just going to go with this for now. And Gene is highly annoyed that they're off script. And yeah, and Ace is just up there looking at him, playing along, whatever he wants to play. I didn't see how the video ended, but I would imagine backstage there were some comments made.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because I don't think in all the times that I've seen him, I don't think I've ever seen anything go off script. Ever.
Well, I think we were at a birthday show one time, and they sang "Happy Birthday" to one of the members, and then they did "Oh Susanna," but I believe they did "Oh Susanna" at other shows as well. So
right, yeah. Usually it's not a one-time thing.
Yeah,
they change the songs up.
But the birthday thing would have been unique.
Exactly. But yeah, so very influential. Very, very sad moment. And, people, this is one of our favorite bands. And I know other people experienced this when, John Lennon passed away. And if you were a Beatles fan or John Lennon, killed people for that to happen. Same thing when Eddie Van Halen passed away. And then other artists like Prince and stuff like that. So it's really hard when somebody you've listened to and followed so closely for the years they pass. So, but hopefully, now that this has happened, he's always been part of the weird legacy of Kiss, but hopefully it strengthens that. And I'm hoping that, with that, you start to see him, really being included in that legacy even more than he is going forward.
Well, it's, Ace has been a part, at least of my life, for 47 years. That's a long time.
Long time.
And just to think of the people that he influenced to pick up a guitar.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many tributes on Facebook about, I mean, left and right all the time.
Yep.
About musicians coming forward saying that Ace was the reason I picked up a guitar, and talk about how influential he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's beautiful that these people are putting those tributes on Facebook about the influence of Ace, but it would have been nice to have celebrated him more during his life.
It's always kind of how it happens. It happens afterward.
Kind of like Pete Rose. I mean, Pete Rose needs to be in the Hall of Fame. It should have been years ago, and now he's dead. And then he'll go in, and he won't be alive to be a part of it. And that's the sad part.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, favorite Ace Frehley song?
Rocket Ride.
Rocket Ride. That is a great one. Rocket Ride. I do love that a lot. Shock Me is a fun song. Perfect for him. Nothing really on Dynasty or Unmasked I thought were his best stuff. Yeah. I don't think that was his I don't think that was his kind of music that they were getting into at that time, which is one of the reasons he left. I do like Into the Void from Psycho Circus.
Yeah, that's good. I enjoy that one.
Good. And then what's your favorite on his solo album from 78? Favorite song?
From 78?
Mm-hmm.
Rip It Out.
Rip It Out. Yeah. I listened to that this week because I was trying to think, do I like Rip It Out better? Or do I like Speeding Back to My Bed? And I think Rip It Out is the better rock song.
I think that's a true portrayal of Ace Frehley's music. Is Rip It Out.
Rip It Out. So yeah. I don't know. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just unfortunately we had to do this. Like I said, he's been a part of my life for 47 years, and you always think, like I saw Michael Brandvold from Three Sides of the Coin say that, this was his superhero, and superheroes are not supposed to die.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about Kiss and Ace, that, doesn't matter how famous or big we are. We're all heading that way,
Yep.
unfortunately. And
Yep.
it was just say thank you to Ace for all the years of music and laughs, and I'll continue to celebrate him for years to come.
Yep. Lots of great music out there. I kind of let the Spotify list just typed his name in and let them play like everything from his solo
Yep,
stuff and everything. And
that's what I
there's
did.
just lots of good music out there. So, and he will be missed. So, we'll appreciate your listens. This is Tales from the Cassette. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Please like and share this, comment for us. We recently did a Van Halen show that was probably our most listened to. Followed that up with Bon Jovi that did not quite get the same engagement. So a little bit of research needs to go on there to see how that works, because I was surprised. I'll just say that, surprised.
Uh, I'm not so much surprised.
Yeah, I thought there would be a little more. And then, but feel free to share your thoughts. We will be back later in the month of October with another show and a planned special guest that we will be having on to talk about their love of music and some cool things they're doing with music and videos.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that discussion. So.
Yes, very much so. So thanks for joining on this shorter show for us. But we wanted to quickly to get together and post our thoughts on Ace Frehley. So I'm Jeff Beach.
I'm Joey Graves.
And we will see you again soon.